What did you do at school? What did you do at school? Bring a book. Hello, can you see the slides? PowerPoint presentation?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, yeah, sir. Okay. Today we are going to study curriculum model. I was not actually informed about the timetable. Last Friday, I was ready, but I could not get the link, but later they informed the timetable is normally at the end of every month, not at the beginning of month. Okay, that's no problem. We can do the Taylor's model. Already you got this presentation. I hope that I could have time, you could have gone through the document. Okay, anyhow, it is not much difficult area. Some models we should learn to identify current curriculum, and if you are partner of curriculum developer in future, we can use this model. We can select one of those model that is more suitable for your course. Okay, this Taylor's model developed by Ralph Taylor in the 1940s, 80 years ago. A very old one, but it is still used by curriculum developer. Yes, even in Sri Lanka, we can see this is the model that we use in the school as well as in the National Institute of Education. There can be some deviation from this model, but basically we can see they use Taylor's model in the quintessential prototype of curriculum development in the scientific approach. Before him, actually, we had no such a model. Taylor is the person first introduced a model to identify the area, the steps of curriculum, and the curriculum developers used Taylor's model even in the country past in mid of 20th century. We can see this is the model we had used in Sri Lanka schools. Taylor did not intend for his contribution to curriculum to be lock-step model for development. Very simple one, we can easily get the idea. We can study what Taylor actually is trying to tell us. Originally, he wrote down his idea in a book. The name of the book, Basic Principle of Curriculum and Instruction. He wrote that book for his students to give them an idea about principles to making curriculum. From his book, we can identify his model. Actually, he wanted to give some reading materials notes to the student. Anyhow, that notes he managed to develop as a book. The brilliance of Taylor's model is that it was one of the first model, as I mentioned a few minutes back, first models, and it was and still it's a highly simple model consisting of four steps. That is the simplicity. Because of his model is a simple model, is still curriculum developer select it to develop their curriculum. Uh, it is not complicated, easily we can understand, easily we can use his model to develop a curriculum. Yeah, there. This is the four areas he has highlighted in his model. First, determine the school's purposes. Those days, actually, Taylor, not like now we have centralized curriculum uh, formulation system in Sri Lanka, small country, but in other countries, uh, if you take America, there are 50 states. They have 50 different curriculum. They may have 15. Actually, the school education concern, they can have different curriculum. They may use different curriculum models. But here, Taylor, the school-based curriculum, he meant the curriculum process school based, school by schools. But anyhow, in Sri Lanka, even though we have national curriculum, still we use Taylor's model, or in the past we had used this model. First, the school purpose objectives. School purpose, or that means objectives, school's objective. Then they have to identify educational experience related to purpose in order to achieve the educational objectives. The developer, curriculum developer, should have a collection of subject. Here, educational experiences mean, in other word, we can say subject content. Uh, Number three, organize the experience. Yeah, that organize mean from primary to junior secondary, senior secondary, upper classes. We have a structure according to the student age and their experience. We determine the content, subjects, different subjects, and the amount of the content. You have good experience. The primary children, primary classes, they are normally admitted in grade 1 at the age of 5. Small children, their capacity relatively lesser than the junior secondary who higher or senior secondary advanced level student. Then we have to decide what are the subject that is subject, those are suitable to the primary students, and the amount of the content. We have some complicated subject like physics, chemistry, philosophy, logic, that kind of subject, more complicated. We can't teach those subjects at the primary level. Uh, Therefore, we should decide, organize the primary level. Later, we can at the final, as a final lecture, we can study the new reforms the government is going to introduce from 2026. We can see how they have organized the subject content. What are the subject they have introduced for primary, junior secondary. We had 13 subject. This time it has been increased by 114, but all the subjects are not measured. The student achievement not measured through written examination. Some practical work they give they do for to measure their achievement in those subjects. But in the second senior secondary, A level already the past in I can remember 10-15 years ago, the student they set for 10 subject, but later they reduced to 9. This time they have reduced. In future they have um, reduced those subject to GCO level, 7 subject. That is the organized experience. Already once we used the term addition to the core subject, we used bucket subject. Then we changed that term also. We changed group subject. Students were asked at least they should select. We had we now still we have that system. 3 group subject, addition to the core 6 core subject. Student they select uh, 3 group side. They should select at least one from one group. But in future we have only 5 core subjects. The new reforms, we have only 5 core subject, and there is a list, no group. In future there is a list. Now we call elective subject. In the group the student they should select 2 elective subject. That is the way. That is a good example you to understand what Taylor meant by organize the experience. The finally evaluate the purpose, whether how far the student achieved the objective. That is, still we do that in our country. Taylor's model is still used in our country. Yeah, the same thing. Other words, sometimes they use different terms. Writers they use different term stating objectives. They use purpose in the previous slide. Here we use objectives. Selecting learning experiences, organizing learning experience, evaluation. Same thing even into different slides. Uh, Details. We can see some details of Taylor theory. Step 1 is determining the objectives of the school or class. We are talking here school or class. We can determine the objective even for the national level, country level. It depends on the curriculum developers program. In other words, what do the student need to do in order to be successful in their life? Purpose of studying, learning in the schools. How they try to achieve the objectives or goals by learning different subject. Each subject has natural objectives that are indicators of mastery. Later, I have given some example. Then you can identify. Even the teachers were expected to prepare lesson, write notes of lesson. In the notes of lesson, teachers were asked to write objectives. The lesson prepare also, we followed Taylor's model. Still, many teachers they follow, but later some educationists they did some changes in Taylor's model. Later we can discuss that. That objectives the Taylor expected we can achieve educational objectives through learning some subjects by giving content knowledge to the student. He expected the determined objectives could be achieved. All objectives need to be consistent with the philosophy of the school education system. Yeah. At the beginning, we studied the relationship between education and philosophy, the impact of philosophy on curriculum. You can remember there are three domains identified should be considered when we develop a curriculum. It can be school level, regional level, or national level. Those are philosophy, psychology, and sociology. Yeah. Philosophy is very important. There can be some, in the past we had some school, they wanted to promote their religion in the society. Then they have philosophy to develop their curriculum. That is one example I'm giving. Uh, their religious philosophy based on their religion. Yeah. Step 2 is developing learning experiences. Learning experience mean organizing the subject and subject content that help the student to achieve step 1 by learning some subject involving in the learning process. Taylor believed the first step of the curriculum can be achieved. Yeah, for example, if students need to meet objective of writing an essay, the objective is to improve the ability of writing an essay of the students. Students writing essay writing ability. It can be uh, an objective. The learning experience might be a demonstration by the teacher of writing an essay. Then he has to select a topic. The teacher should select a topic and define the topic and collect information, evidence to include in the essay and organize introduction, body, the body inside the body, first, second, two, three, one, two, three, important fact and conclusion. That step should be followed by the teacher. Teacher should help the students to write essay with the guidance of the teachers. Then here we can see the learning experience. The student then might practice writing essay. Yes, some practical session also could be given. Homework could be given in the exam. One question can be included in language, paper, essay writing. That is next step. The experience essay demonstration in writing is consistent with the objective. A student will write an essay. The objective that can be written this way. Student will write an essay at the end of this lesson. We can write that way the objective. Right. Step 3 is organizing the experience. Should the teacher demonstrate first? Should the student learn by writing immediately? That part I explained um, earlier. The way could work, and preference is determined by the philosophy of the teacher and the needs of the students. Okay, what is the philosophy? Teacher can have what is the idea, what is the most suitable topic to the children. She can select according to their philosophy, one topic from a religion or topic from environment, topic from science, a topic from literature, a topic from social studies, whatever it is. The point is that the teacher needs to define a logical order. I mentioned a few minutes back the order, organizing the fact of experience for the student. The topic and the text expected to include the essay when deciding that the student age level, their grade, everything should be considered. Finally, evaluation of the objective. Now the teacher assesses the student ability to write an essay. Here, according to his model, we have no summative exam. Sorry, formative exam. Only summative. At the end of end the lesson, we evaluate the children. Now it is very famous, continuous assessment, formative assessment, but the weakness of Taylor's model is there is no continuous assessment. For example, the teacher would have the students write an essay without assistance. The when the teaching process is taking place, the teacher can help, guide, but the evaluation, exam time, uh, student, they do not get help from the teacher. If they can do this, it is evidence that the student have achieved the objective of the lesson. Easily you can understand why we practice this system now, even in the school. There are variation on this model. However, Taylor model is still considered by many to be the strongest model for curriculum development, as I mentioned at the beginning. But one limitation I mentioned, there are more. Uh, Taylor's model, the student assessment always at the last, that is one identified weakness or limitation in Taylor's model. Yeah, we can see here somehow. It centers on its rigidity, linear nature, and overemphasize on measurable objectives. He focuses on measurable objectives. That is one problem. Critics argue it is too perspective, doesn't account for flexibility or the dynamic reality of teaching, and undervalues subjective or creative learning experience.
Excuse
He
me.
yes, yes. You
Sorry for disturbing. Please explain the first point again.
uh, uh, he send its rigidity. Lean, that mean later you can understand it is not circle model. There is no uh, follow up that after the examination, student assessment, based on the student assessment, what is the next? If here he forgot to mention, if the students fail to achieve the objective, what is the next step? It is not there. That is the linear nature. That means the assessment evaluation is the end of curriculum process. If students are not success, if the student fail to achieve the objective, what the teacher can do? There is no follow up.
Okay.
Okay, that is the, but later we can see other models, they have given solution to that, but Taylor failed to do that. Here, actually, this curriculum uh, mention teacher's role, teaching, student role, follow the teacher. There is no any provisions for students' creativeness, innovation, that is not given by the by Taylor. Uh, if he has to follow, he has to, that is student, they have to follow what the teacher says. There is no student centered, the learning, teaching learning process, not deeply or clearly included in this model. Simply they say teacher role is teaching, the student role is learning. That is traditional method. We have to take the uh, students will be passive listener, passive learner in the classroom. It can also be seen as a yes, it is there. Too teacher centric. What I explained few seconds ago, it is there. and focused on a technical approach that ignores the broader social and cultural context of curriculum development. In this curriculum development, he has ignored some other factors, only the content, subject, the learning experience and all. Yeah, some of the criticism at the beginning, it will be little difficult us to understand, but when we compare with other uh, model, curriculum model, we can understand the weakness of each and every curriculum model. Yeah, that is number one. Number one, model number one we studied, that is Taylor's model. The four steps: strength and weakness, or merit and demerits. Right. Any more question? That's all. Okay. DABA model of curriculum development. The DABA model was developed by Hilda Daba. uh, that is a period 1902 to 1967. An architect, a curriculum theorist, a curriculum reformer, and a teacher educator, teacher trainer. Taba believed that there has to be a definite order in creating a curriculum. The previous person also introduced order. We'll see, but the problem C Daba identified in the previous model. This model is used to enhance the thinking skills of student. Now we can find one weakness in the previous model, because he did not think, he did not consider the thinking skills of the students. No discussion about thinking skills of the students in the previous model. Now we'll see how in this model it is included. Hilda Daba believed that there must be a process for evaluating student achievement of content after the content standards have been established and implemented. Content standards. But in the previous model, we didn't see those terms, standards. The main concept of this approach to curriculum development is that teacher must be involved in the development of the curriculum. That is one point. What is the new point? In the previous model, in the involvement, in involving parties are not mentioned. Sometimes curriculum designers, managers, school senior management, they can develop a curriculum and give the teachers. It can be done by the senior management, but teachers also should participate. Participatory, we can see a participatory approach. The teachers must be involved in the development of the curriculum. That is a new point recommended by Hilda Daba. She advocated that teachers take an interactive approach to curriculum development. Which mean starting with specifics and building toward a general design. That's why later part, when teachers prepare their lesson plan, they were instructed by teacher educator, teacher trainer, instructional supervisor to write specific objectives. According to Taylor model, we can simply write objectives. But after the introduction of Daba model, the objectives should be specific. From specifics, the teacher should come to the general. Rather than the traditional deductive approach. Deductive approach, they started with the general design and work toward the specifics, which was rooted in Taylor model. One example I can give. We got one example, essay writing. The problem is whether we can take the children, ask the children to write essay writing. But before that, we need lot of skills to be developed. What are the skills? One skill I can say sentence structure. Skills to write sentence with clear meaning. Handwriting. Handwriting also one skills. Good handwriting. Grammar. Words. Letters, words, grammar, structure, sentence structure. From one by one, we should promote the student's ability to write essay. That is the thing. We can give example uh, to Daba uh, steps, the suggestion from specifics to general. Hilton above followed the grassroots approach in developing curriculum. It is their what I explained. For her, it should be the teachers who should design the curriculum rather than the higher authorities. Oliva in 1992 pointed out that. What's happening in Sri Lanka? Whether the teachers they prepare curriculum or higher authorities, according to your knowledge, your experience, who are preparing curriculum,
Higher authorities.
higher authorities. Yeah, we do not follow Daba's ideas. More specifically stated, the Daba approach believes in allowing the curriculum to be developed and authored by user teachers. It's not happening. They may have some practical problem. Uh, okay, we'll see whether, but one thing we can suggest, we can't take all the teachers. It is not possible to uh, arrange a meeting or conference to participate all the teachers, but we can get some representatives. It can be provincial wise or zonal wise. Some selected teachers can be invited to participate in the curriculum development process. That is one suggestion. Under the DABA model, teachers are expected to begin each curriculum by creating specific teaching learning units and building to a general design. Here in Sri Lanka, this subject content is decided by professors, intellectuals, university lecturers, highly qualified people. They have no experience working in a school, but their experience with university education. Uh, I don't want to say more than that, but you know it. It can be one weakness uh, in the curriculum process in our country. According to Kawaja, Akhtar, and Mirsha, the Daba model was an attempt to ensure that decisions about curriculum are made on the basis of valid criteria and not whim or fancy. Uh, that according to uh, is this Daba's model an attempt to ensure that decision about curriculum are made on the basis of valid criteria. There should be some criteria based curriculum. The development of curriculum, the basis for curriculum development should be some valid criteria. Right. Now we can see 7 steps Hilta Daba model, but in the previous model, there were only 4, but you can see one step is before the objectives. Taylor did not say anything about the formulation of objectives, the formulation of curriculum objectives, basis for designing curriculum objectives. But Hilda Dabo, she starts with bottom level. There should be some techniques, method, identify the society needs. What are the problems in the society? Whether those problems can be addressed by country's education, social levels. It can be value related problem, crime, economic related, poverty, unemployment problem, national development problem, crimes, road accidents, drug addicts. The serious problem, whether we have to see some serious problem could be solved through education. Sometimes I can give one example, producing employable citizens. In the past, famous objectives we had, producing good citizen. The recently, couple of years ago, curriculum reformers recommended to put productive citizen, produce happy family members, innovative citizens, productive citizen, employable citizens, based on the economic problem that we had in 2021-22. Yes, we need diagnosis of needs. That is a good one. Based on that country needs, society needs, we should formulate educational objectives. Taylor simply said selecting content. Experience, the terms he used, learning experience, but Hilda Dabagi, she has used selecting content, organizing content, even though it was not clearly mentioned in the previous model we discussed. Key concept, main ideas, facts, it should be clearly organized. Selecting learning experiences. She has divided this implementation of learning experience into two steps. Organizing learning experience, yeah, that means teaching method, teaching strategies. Yeah. Then not Taylor did not say anything about what type of student development, but here in the above model, cognitive development, teaching strategy for cognitive development, teaching strategy for effective development. Yeah, she has mentioned two things, not only the cognitive development, knowledge part, skills part, behavior parts also included. Then finally, evaluation. Right. Anyhow, we can see some progressive idea, some development, some extension. Anyhow, Daba also used Taylor's model. Objective content learning experience evaluation, we can see in the previous model too, but with some improvement, some development, with some progressive idea. Yeah. Now we can discuss with some more facts. First steps, diagnosing learner's need. Identifying the needs and characteristic of the students to form the basis for the curriculum. Not only what the student should learn, that is earlier question, but after this, for what the student should study. Because the education has a big role in the society to develop the society, to serve the society, to help solve the problem in the country or society. Now the second steps, the educational objectives, creating learning objectives based on the diagnosed needs. The society needs, country needs addressed in this model. We can't simply teach. According to Taba model, the problem that we had in our country before independent Sri Lanka independence 1948, the curriculum introduced by British ruler. Subject content, history, geography, civics, literature, religion. The subjects were introduced by themselves. They wanted to spread their culture in Sri Lanka through education. They wanted to produce some civil servant to work in their administration. But we continued, even after independence, we continued our curriculums, what they introduced. But now the problem, later we can study that. That is a very big one. 1945, the free education policy introduced. By 1960s, there was a big quantity development in this country, but they could not get jobs. Parallel to that development in the education system, no economic development in the country. Every student went to schools, wanted to get job in the government departments. Even now, it is a burden to the government. Giving appointment to the graduates is a burden to the government departments. There is a mismatch between the labor market demand and the qualification that they have. But the learning objective is in this country, we fail to formulate based on the country needs. Without proper diagnose, we had been formulating educational objectives. Now, this time we can see more attention given for the economic development, country development. But in the past, we wanted to produce a student with reading ability, writing ability, some traditional subject, knowledge-based objectives. Most of the objectives, knowledge-based. But now we are compelled to change the learning objectives of the students. We can see that trend in the new education reform. Then selecting content. Relevancy we can call relevancy. Some of the subject we have to revise. That is also important process. I am telling, giving some example from our own experience. Selecting content. I can say my father studied what my grandfather studied in the school. Some subject content, both generation, grandfather and my father studied. Same subject, I also studied. My son also studied. I don't know, my grandson also sometimes may study the same subject. Subject content, history, literature, some subject area, the selecting content. In Sri Lanka, we go through the street, the changes in the selection of content, we can't happy with that. Again and again, we reprint the books. The cover page may be different, date of publication may be different, but same subject content. Throughout the street, we have been teaching the children. Selecting content, choosing the subject matter that will be used to achieve the objectives. We can say sometimes there is a big gap between the national objectives and the subject in the curriculum. That we have to do a deep study in that. But obviously, we can say, we can understand, since we are in that field, there is mismatch between here needs and objectives mismatch. Objectives in selection of content, subject content also, we can identify some gap. You can do research, but here we are given only 10 lectures, 20 hours. I can't discuss all the things uh, behind. If we take our countries for discussion, we need more time. Number four, organizing content, structure the content in a logical and sequential manner. Anyhow, it is done even in Sri Lanka. We can't criticize that. But selection of content is the problem, not the organization of organizing content. Selecting learning experience, choosing the specific learning experience to engage students with the content. That is another issue. Student based or classroom led by students is not properly implemented in Sri Lanka because we prepare the children for the exam, not for the life. Parents, the social demand is to train the children to answer to the past papers, to train the children to answer to the model question paper. Now in Sinhala they have used another term, Anumana Prasna Pattara. Past paper, model question paper, that is Anumana Prasna Pattara. Guessing. They use guessing. They guess that type of question can expect this time. Then the students are trained to answer to the model question paper, past question paper, and guessing questions. No practical, no application of theories, rote learning. Children memorize the fact. The children who can memorize the fact, they are success in the exam, others not success. Standardized exam. Yeah. Anyhow, we can see here organizing learning activities. Number 6. What is the learning activities? What are the learning activities? Arranging the learning activity in a way that is effective for the student in content. Learning is an involvement. But unfortunately, in our classroom, students are passive listeners, not active participants. Here, through this group work, activities, experiments, project based learning, authentic learning, integration of IT in the teaching learning process, yes, we can develop peer learning, self learning, group learning activities. Very rarely we use that. Through that only we can develop what she expected skills development. Thereby in a model, she recommended learning activities. That new thing, the history of curriculum model. Number 7, evaluating outcome, assessing whether the objectives are achieved and using the results to improve the curriculum. And now, here we can see after assessment, the assessment for a couple of years, that outcome of the students' results analyze the fact we get from the students' outcome. That facts, that result, that analysis should be used for further development, curriculum development. But Taylor did not say anything about that. The ILTA-DEBA model's advantages include promote higher order thinking. But the problem we have in Sri Lanka, we prepare students only for the exam. We are in the lower order. Understanding, remembering, that is at that level. You might have learned Bloom's taxonomy. We use only the bottom level learning outcome. We work only for that. Open-ended discussion and the teacher-driven cyclical curricular development process. How it is cyclical? The outcome after the student evaluation, the feedback can be used for the first step. That our production of our education system, they go to the society, they are in the society, then we can, one example we can produce, we can give here. According to the statistics, the literacy rate in Sri Lanka, more than 99. Almost all the children are admitted in grade 1. According to the statistics we get at the national level. There are more than 10,000 government schools. A big amount of money is allocated from the every budget, including this year. From 1945, public fund utilized, private fund money, even though we have free education in Sri Lanka, parents to spend their children's education. We call it private funding. Sometimes the third person, non-government organization, well-wishers, they too spend on children education, country education. But if we go to the society, we can see society, what kind of people that we can see in our society. Large number of drug addicts, criminals, large number of youths, they involve in antisocial activities. Now we have to rethink. Yeah, the study not from the student immediate final exam results. We have to study the society also. we produce large number of unskilled laborers. They go to Middle East. We export our human resource to the Middle East countries as domestic servant. Yes. According to Iltadabo, we have to diagnose the society and develop the curriculum objectives. However, its disadvantages are that it is time consuming. That's true. Challenging to implement across all subject and potentially difficult for non-gifted or diverse student to grasp. Uh, Still we face a slow learners problem. Further needs and interest of student may not be valid or long lasting. They are often short lived. Here, the individual differences are not discussed in this curriculum. That is one limitation. The interest and needs of students may not reflect a specific area of knowledge that could be essential for successful functioning in society. That is another area. Uh, it is not covered by Ilta Dabo. Anyhow, she served. We can't underestimate a contribution in the field of curriculum development. Yeah. After discussing some strength uh, of DABA model in the classroom, I can give you few seconds you to ask question. Gifted student begin thinking of a concept, then dive deeper into the concept. According to some uh, criticism, it is favor to gifted student. Focuses on open-ended question rather than right-wrong question. The open-ended, open-ended question. Yeah. In sentence, answer should be given, but here selected responses, the responses are given. A student should select yes or no, right or wrong. The open endedness requires more abstract thinking, a benefit to our gifted students. The problem we have in our country, large number of students, they know the answer, but they can't clearly express in words. The question and answer lend themselves to classroom discussion. Essay easy to access, student learn. It is not much important for you. Limitation using of Taba model in the classroom can be difficult for non-gifted student. I mentioned to class. I mentioned that difficult for heterogeneous classroom, works well for fiction and non-fiction, may be difficult to easily use in all subject. Daba expected all the children in the classroom will be in the same level. but it is not there. Right. The second model we studied, you can ask any question related to the second model. Yes, I think it is clear because basic idea we got from uh, the previous first model that we studied, some development, some progressive idea, uh, we found in Dabas model. Very good. I gave you some example. The Sri Lanka situation, the current curriculum developer, to certain extent, they had addressed the current problem that we have in our country. Particularly, we have to change our objectives, not only the objectives, subjects as well as subject content. One action, I can give one example. This time they have changed the subject name. Already we had religion, simply religion, but I think I can remember this time they have added two more words, religion and value education. And my recommendation is even for science, science for life. Now we use the term science, subject name, health science for healthy life. But our student, they get a lot of A, but uh, we can't find healthy society in this country. Yet we should start new measurable objectives based on that the problems now we face in this country. In order to achieve that curriculum, sorry, objectives, we can't teach the same subject content that we taught in the past. I can remember now entrepreneurship, so financial literacy, some new subject they have tried to introduce. Already the subject history compulsory subject, but this time they have made it elective subject. New subject they have introduced that subjects, I believe, job oriented, basic for job oriented courses in the university level students studies. Okay, we can see, I feel, I hope we can see some development in the new, some improvement in the new curriculum, progressive improvement in this new curriculum that the government is going to introduce in 2026. Okay, now the third model, curriculum model, VLS model for curriculum design is an improvement upon Taylor's model. Yeah, we should not forget all the people, most of the curriculum creators started with Taylor's. They have, anyhow, they have used Taylor's model. Instead of a linear model, we'll develop a cyclical model. Evaluation in Wheeler's model is not terminal. Here we can see that is not the end. Evaluation step is not the last or end. Findings from evaluation are feedback. We saw that to certain extent in the previous model to second model into the objectives and the goals which influence other stage. Yeah, you can see here different diagram, aims, goals, and objectives. Three stages even in the inside the number one, aims, goals, and objectives. At the classroom level, we can use specific objectives. Selection of learning experience, copied directly from Taylor's model. Selection of content, same. Organization and integrations of experience. New word, integration of experience. Integration, we can see later we will study integrated curriculum. Evaluation, after fifth, aims, goals, and objectives. The Wheeler model's cyclical stage, the starting point for curriculum development, aims, learning experience, no need to take much time because the previous model also we studied those stages. The specific activities and interaction a student will have. Learning experience, here interaction students, yeah, specific activities. Content, not only the subject knowledge, skills and information to be taught. Updated information, updated knowledge, the teacher should not allow to reproduce what is in the textbooks. Current information, updated information, latest information should be taught by the teacher. Organization, how the learning experience and content are structured and sequenced. ordered. Not new thing. Even in the previous two model, we saw that. Evaluation, assessing the effectiveness of the curriculum, which then informs a new cycle. Here, not only the individual student assessment, evaluation of the curriculum, effectiveness of the curriculum. If the children are failed in their life, in their behavior, in the society, their role, everything should be assessed. I gave one example. What type of people so far we have produced? In 1990s, 30 years back, 1997, 25 years, yes, 30 years back, we introduced with lot of expectation competency based education. Not only knowledge, skills, attitude, practical ability, focused the curriculum, but in our society we can see what type of youths, what they do in the society. According to Wheeler, the evaluation, not individual student evaluation, assessment, effectiveness of the curriculum evaluation. The impact of the curriculum in the society, the impact of the curriculum in the country. As citizen of this country, teachers of the country, adults as father, mother, we can simply assess the curriculum that we had in the past, how they have served to develop this country. I can give two examples. Singapore, Malaysia, not only two, three, South Korea. They are proud about their country education. They always mention that because of their curriculum, they managed to develop their country economically within a short period of time. Yes. Therefore, the curriculum reformers in this country seriously think about the past experience of our country and the experience of other countries in Asia. We can't compare with the Western countries, but some country, Asian countries, we can take an example how they reformed their curriculum, how they implemented those experience very useful to improve our curriculum. Improvement. This is a new one added by Wheeler. Evaluation results led to adjustment and improvement in aims. In Sri Lanka, 197, they introduced 9 national objectives, educational objectives, goals. Very long, we can't measure easily. But couple of years ago, one the reform, I don't know the same. Some of the thing coming the same we can see, but the objectives are not clearly mentioned in the report. The the object is very short, clear, measurable. We have to thank to that group who develop the curriculum development. The problem was that group was highly politicalized group. That's why the new government rejected them. But anyhow, the objective they had included 6 objectives, very clear and measurable objectives. To certain extent, they had addressed the country needs. Okay. Then it will be useful because your organizers informed me to give the current ideas, new, the latest information from the uh, curriculum development area. That's why I am discussing those things, because you learn what you experience. We have to go with the current world. We can't memorize always the old fact, and we can learn some. We should learn some theory, some model, but uh, we should see the current world through those models, theories, concept. Whatever that we learn should be useful to see the current world that we live, to at least give some ideas others to solve the current problem. Right. Now, the present curriculum developers, to improve our curriculum, they should, first step, they should study the problems in the country, in the society, grassroots level, national level. We can divide into two sets: non-economic benefits, economic related benefits. Both very, very important thing. In the past, we neglected economic related objectives, only non-economic related. What happened in Sri Lanka? We gave education to the children to get jobs, but we failed to teach the children to do jobs. What I mean by that? We try to give paper qualification to the children, using that to get job using those qualification. They got job because we taught them, we insisted them. Education is to get job, not to do jobs. Okay. Key characteristics: cyclical. It is a continuous process where each stage feeds into the others. You can understand that. Dynamic. It allows for ongoing adjustment based on evaluation feedback. Time to time, this wheelless model supports to do adjustment. Evaluation, results of the evaluation is the base for adjustment. Interdependent, what we've always in our country, our education to a certain extent politicalized. Ministers, everything we did not based on curriculum but based on the education minister's wishes. Whenever the government is changed, they changed curriculum based on their political party policy, not based on the evaluation of curriculum. Sometimes curriculum experts also politicalized. They followed the minister's advice. That is the history of our Sri Lanka. History. Okay. Anyhow, no need to allocate more time for discussing the political era, but without political, we can't do anything. Interdependent. All stages are connected and influence one another. The Wheeler model plus includes its cyclical and continuous nature, its ability to incorporate feedback and new information, and its focus on the interconnectedness of curriculum elements. We can see some area he had added to the previous two models. The basically same steps, but some new ideas they have added to the uh, previous models. The main cons are that it can be time consuming. Even for the second, we saw that time consuming and difficult to implement, may not adequately address individual learner needs, and could be overly rigid, potentially stifling creativity. Here in this uh, model, we can see he focuses on not individual development but country development, because in the assessment evaluation area, individual persons, individual learners achievement is not focused, but individual rather than assessing individual learners' achievement level, he wanted to evaluate the curriculum standard of the curriculum should be evaluated. The results we get from that evaluation should be the basis for the next steps. Advantages, uh, cyclical and continuous. The, the model is a cycle that allows for continuous adaptation and improvement of the curriculum. But as one thing I can again say, if new government comes, they throw away all the things that we had in the past. Sometimes they may do that and start with the new. But this cyclical model says it is not the way to do that. Interconnected elements, it views curriculum components like objectives, content, and evaluation are interconnected, allowing for a more holistic approach. That is one advantage. We have feedback mechanism he had introduced. That is the evaluation. It includes a feedback mechanism that allows for the adjustment based on evaluation, making the curriculum responsive to change. That is a new term here introduced, feedback mechanism. We can find in Wheeler's model, there is feedback mechanism. Flexibility, the cyclic nature allows designer to start in any stage. They can change objectives. They can change subject content. No need to start from the first stage. The previous two model, they encouraged to come from the first stage. But Wheeler model, we can there can be a current curriculum in force at the time based on the evaluation. Curriculum developers can intervene at any stage. That is new thing. Flexibility, the cyclic nature allows designers to start at any stage. It provides flexibility. This model, in how the curriculum is developed, not rigid. According to the two previous model, they have to start from the first stage. Curriculum developer, they can't start in the from the other stages, Yeah. Situation analysis. The model begins with situation analysis, which helps ground the curriculum in its specific context. First situation analysis, when the first curriculum uh, development process, but later we can use the evaluation report as a situational analysis. Yeah, the same thing, same disadvantage. Time consuming, everywhere we can see. The curriculum, it is naturally time consuming process. It should be. Without proper study, we can't suddenly bring a curriculum reform. Difficult to implement. Implementing all the phase and ensuring smooth transition can be challenging in a practical setting. In order to solve that problem, the previous government, they wanted to start a new organization for curriculum development. Now, the curriculum development, education, educational administrators, uh, training programs done by the NIA. But in India, there are two separate institutions. NIPA in New Delhi, their duty only to train educational administrators. In another center is there, Center for Teacher Training and Research Studies, because that is a very big country, India, separated. But in Sri Lanka, curriculum development, teacher training program, BEd, MEd, MPhil, and other side diploma in teacher side, PGDE, postgraduate diploma in education, research, exams, teacher training college, academic affairs by NIA. And MIPE, there is branch, but controlled by NIE, diploma in school management, master of education, master of education in education management, postgraduate diploma in education management part-time, postgraduate diploma in education management full-time, under one roof. Therefore, the previous government, they wanted to start separate curriculum development process to another center, but they could not do that. Curriculum development center, already we had one, but the formation, after the formation of NIE, they abolished. But the previous government, they wanted to create curriculum development center separately in Sri Lanka. Their work only curriculum development process. If there is a institution only for that, continually they can uh, check, implement, they can evaluate the implementation process and the curriculum, evaluation of curriculum, everything they can do. uh, may lack up equity focuses. Some critics argue that it doesn't adequately account for diverse student needs, potential inequalities of the specific characteristic of different communities or schools. Yeah. Now this we have pluralistic society, different kind of people are living. Some due to this political and some economic reasons, some set up communities neglected, especially these plantation students in this country. Uh, they were very late to bring that society to the main uh, stream. After 1970s only, they started to enjoy free education and study national curriculum. Before that, that most of the children from that community, their schools were managed by the plantation superintendents, estate management. They from grade 1 to 5, they used only one teacher school. Principal, teacher, one person played all those role responsibility. When there is a meeting, that day the schools was closed. They were not given until 1977. No free books, no free uniform, no welfare. Uh, they enjoyed given by the government. Some rural areas we have uh, is still underdeveloped, no transport facilities, infrastructure facilities, parents low income earning. Even in Colombo, I can see, even I met one student today. Yeah, some of the Colombo schools relatively with very, very low facilities. Even in Colombo, we can see some schools. Last month, I went to a school close to Kottava, 2 kilometers away from Kottava Junction. The facilities given to that school, I can't say whether that is in Colombo district. Generally, people say Kolambatakiri, Kamatakikiri. But even in Colombo, we can see art of the city. Even art of the city, I have visited for teaching practice. Some schools close to, yeah, yeah, town hall and Navalok Hospital. Uh, they are faced with very low facilities, classroom and other equipment, these digital devices. Uh, that issue we have. But in the curriculum developers, according to this criticism, should address all things. May simple creativity, the structure and systematic approach may not allow enough room for creativity and innovation in curriculum design. But what they are trying to say, in order to the expectation of 21st century, uh, these curriculum models fully we can't use fully we can't use to design 21st century curriculum. They try to assume one size fits all. There is an assumption that a single curriculum can be effective for all learners. The individual differences are not addressed. The different community levels needs not addressed, which may not be appropriate for diverse educational context. Right. Now we can wind up this. There are some other models. By next week, we can finish because the learning curriculum model is the important part of curriculum theory and practice. Uh, Anyhow, after that we have to compare. There are some more thing areas compare the syllabus and curriculum, curriculum materials, and the history of Sri Lanka curriculum. We have to study at least two or three, even very important curriculum. We initiated in 1972, 72 and 1990 curriculum, and the present curriculum we have to discuss, and 21st century curriculum. At least there are 4, 5 key areas. I think this is for fifth. lecture class. I think we have more 5. I have to plan what are the areas more important to you, more important areas to teach using the allocated time, 10 hours. Okay. Your organization request is you to give something about century curriculum to reforms. I need at least 2 lecture for that. Reserving that two lecture for that. Other 3 lectures we can use for to teach you traditionally what we teach in the curriculum, theory and practice. Okay, right. I think already I have shared this PowerPoint presentation before. Do you have any question? You may be hungry if you have not taken your dinner. I point up here. If you have any question, only one question can be allowed. I'm also hungry. No question. Okay, you are silence.
Thank you.
Okay, day after tomorrow we have a class. Am I correct? Hello?
Yes, sir. We have.
Yeah, day after. Okay. We'll meet day after tomorrow.
Good night, sir. Thank you so much.